Hello, I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York. Welcome to One to One. Each week, we address issues of timely and timeless concern with newsmakers and the journalists who report on them, with artists, writers, scientists, educators, social scientists, government and nonprofit leaders. We meet each one to one. I'm delighted to welcome Vi Higginsen, founder and executive director of the Mama Foundation for the Arts. Her Harlem brownstone is bursting with teenagers who are being taught to express themselves through music and theater. And that's just one part of her remarkable career. After making history with her gospel musical, Mama, I Want to Sing, which opened in 1983 and has been performed thousands of times in the United States and abroad, this writer, director, and producer is at it again. Her latest projects, We Are, a gospel musical featuring the Gospel for Teens Choir, and Alive, a musical featuring performers who are all over 55, opened this month at the Dempsey Theater in Harlem. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So tell me about the Mama Foundation for the Arts.
Well, the Mama Foundation for the Arts is, it's a brownstone in Harlem where we take young people between the ages of 13 and 19 years old, and we teach them the art of gospel music. This genre of music has created and contributed so much to American music. We want to make sure that this young generation has an understanding and an appreciation for gospel music. Therefore, we treat it as an art form.
Now, it's interesting to me, the idea of teaching classes for gospel, because you would think of most people, they learn gospel in the church choir.
Yes.
So does one take, is there beginning gospel, intermediate gospel, advanced gospel, and what kinds of skills does one teach in a gospel music class?
Well, let me explain. Our young people sit at the foot of music masters. These are music teachers who have lived and breathed, sang and played gospel music for their lifetime. And now they need to pass that music on so it never dies. Much of gospel music is in the head and in the mind and not written or notated. So therefore, the idea of passing it down as an oral tradition almost from ear to ear is very powerful. So yes, we start as a freshman class, advance, and then performing before live audiences. So it doesn't matter how you come in, and you must audition to get in. And the criteria is to be able to carry a tune, because we can do the rest.
Right.
But what we teach is breathing and harmony and pitch and control. And we teach young people how to sing together, and how to harmonize together, and how to listen and hear and blend in the music. And therefore, it also provides an opportunity for teamwork. So, in a society that we're full of music, rap and hip hop, which is all fine. We love all kinds of music, and R&B and jazz and other. Those are fine. But let's not forget who we are and where we come from musically.
Does gospel have a special attraction for teenagers? I mean, as somebody who has sung spirituals, and spirituals are beautiful, but they're also, they were originally called sorrow songs, so a lot of them are sorrowful. But gospel is upbeat and lively, and is that part of the attraction, you think?
I think so. First of all, some young people could not even sing a whole gospel song or a spiritual song all the way through. And a hymn, Amazing Grace, or Precious Lord, was foreign to them. And these are songs that we think are a part of our history and our heritage. So we look at music in almost as history, telling a story of a people in song. So the gospel that we teach includes spirituals and, as you call, sorrow songs. But there are also songs of joy and happiness, because gospel means good news. So something about the repetition of the sound and the chords and the lyrics, something about gospel music that helps to transform, and the energy, and so it seems funny that a generation who grew up on hip hop and computers would suddenly embrace this art form and maybe feel some of the same sense of survival that our ancestors did.
Now, are the classes free, or is there a charge for them?
Yes, yes, I insist the classes must be free, Cheryl. We have to, because then it would only be available for those who could pay. But for those, it has to learn your history and your music and your culture, it has to be free. I insist on it. As difficult as it is, and it is, it's hard to maintain them. Even the more we grow, the more we need.
So who pays for this?
Well, it's donations. We get individual donations, corporate donations, and fundings from grants. Is it enough? No. I have more students than I have chairs for.
How many do you have?
There's over 400 students,
wow,
actually.
That's a lot of students.
Coming and going in each of the classes. So it's important to provide. Also, the third part, this is the part I love really, it's the performing before live audiences. So once we give you the culture and the understanding of the music, and you get a chance to sing and exercise it out, but it's more than music, and we tell them that talent is not enough, that you have to become a whole human being. We then provide a platform for them to have an opportunity to sing, and that's important.
Now, the Gospel for Teens choir, is that a finite number of young people? Does everybody who goes through make the choir, or is it a finite number? Do you have to sing at a certain level to make the choir?
Well, no. People come in at different levels, even in the freshman class, but you start as a freshman. So if you're already great, we'll make you better. If you're okay, we'll make you better. If you're not so good, we'll make you better. The idea is to get better. And so that's what happens in the classroom. And then they have their fellow students, and once they audition, they never have to audition again. They just move through the system until the end. And we have some young people who were in the very first class who now have gone away to college and come back, and they're teaching the younger ones now. So we have a culture of young people who have been with us a real long time.
Now, one thing I learned some years back is that there's a whole gospel subculture in New York City that probably a lot of people don't know about. I mean, concerts that attract hundreds of people, gospel groups, and individual singers who are household names. Whole families attend. They take the children. I presume probably competitions between singers and between choirs. Very, very interesting. So where does your gospel for teens, where do you perform?
Well, we performing in a number of different places, and that's another way we are able to keep our program free. We perform at various galas and events. We were just at the UN, for example, for UNICEF, the opening of the UN. We are going to be competing at the Radio City Music Hall for the Verizon How Sweet the Sound. We traveled to California, Florida, and places where we are invited to sing our song and show our young people.
Right. Just, one choir that people have known about for years was the Harlem Boys Choir. Is that still in existence, to your knowledge? Do you know?
I think, I'm not sure. There's maybe some fragment of it, but I'm not sure that it existed the way that it did when you remember it.
Okay. Now, do you also teach R&B, music, jazz? Is that part of your program? Is theater part of your program as well as gospel?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because it's the Mama Foundation and the School of the Gospel, Jazz, and R&B Arts.
Okay.
We have concentrated on the curriculum of a genre of gospel. But our plan, as we get additional funding, is to move into the other genres as well. Yes.
Okay. I think about the title, the Mama Foundation. I'm thinking about La Mama, which is a theater group downtown, which was also founded by a Black woman. What's the Mama thing? Is yours connected to Mama I Want to Sing? Is that where you got your name from?
Yes, ours is connected to the Mama I Want to Sing, and also my love of my mama, who raised 4 children on her own and insisted that we all stay together. And she was the one who, helped the love of gospel music in my life because I was the youngest and she took me everywhere. So wherever she went, and she loved quartets and she loved gospel music. And back in the day, there was even more gospel music than there is now in the subculture.
Okay. The original show, Mama, I Want to Sing, was based on the life of your sister.
Yes.
Who I assume was raised in a church choir.
Yes.
Wanted to sing popular music, but whose career was opposed by who? Your mother?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you know.
That seems to be a rather timeless story. You know, I think about the first sound movie with the jazz singer with Al Jolson. It was the same story. He wanted to sing. He was a Jewish boy who wanted to sing popular music. His father, Cantor, said no, 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 and but he goes on and has a career and winds up at the end singing at his father's funeral. Is that a story that has resonance for a lot of musically inclined young people and their families today, that they want to do music and the parents say, no, you go to law school, or, you know?
Well, I certainly see a lot of it. And for us, it was a true story. So not knowing about the old story, the Jolson story, that's the way life was in our house. My father was a minister. We went to church every Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so church was a central part of our life. And so it was for my sister. But we also lived on the street that had the Apollo Theater. So that generation introduced the great voices of that time period. I'm talking about Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Lena Horne and, you know, those. And so my sister was drawn from the church music into the music of the day or at the Apollo.
Right.
And she wanted to be more like that. So she didn't want to stay in the church for her whole life. She wanted to sing on world stages.
Right.
And she actually did.
Now, after the success of Mama, I Want to Sing, which has run for how many performances, do you figure?
Oh, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary. So I want to guess, you know, upwards of 3,000 performances all over the world, including the West End of London, I might add.
Okay. In 2011, you brought out Mama, I Want to Sing, The Next Generation.
Yes.
Was that basically a revival of the same show, or was it different?
Well, you know what happened? As I looked at these young people in the school, I saw that the story continued, that there were sometimes young kids whose parents were music directors or deacons or ministers in the church, and the same thing was happening. And we also wanted to provide an opportunity for these young people of this generation to have a chance to be part of a musical classic.
Right.
So we put them, which is the next generation, into the show and into the choir. But another thing that happened that was really pretty spectacular is that when we wrote this show many years ago, we wrote it for a multi-octave range. We wanted to really demonstrate the power of the human voice. So we wanted to make sure that we had a young lady that could span the whole range of music, from the lowest point to opera. And that was the convincing song of Mama, I Want to Sing.
Okay.
And that kind of talent is rare. You know, it's called a coloratura.
Right, right.
And you can't often find them. They're one in a bunch. And it just turns out the next generation was Doris Troy's niece with the multi-octave
Your sister's
range.
niece, right.
My sister's niece,
Right.
which is my child.
Wow. Okay.
So I born the child who ended up continuing the legacy with the multi-octave range and the next generation.
Okay.
So how does that happen? It was
Okay.
meant to be. I don't know. I love it too, every minute of it.
We're going to take a short break, then we'll be back with more with Vi Higginson after the following messages. Welcome back to One to One. I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York, and I'm talking with Vi Higginson, founder and executive director of the Mama Foundation for the Arts. So from October 5th until the end of November, you have several musicals playing in repertory at the Dempsey Theater on 127th Street. Tell me about the Dempsey Theater.
Well, here's another coincidence. The Dempsey Theater was a school that was called PS 68, a school that everyone in my family attended. And it had an auditorium. I went there for an event, and realized that this was an underutilized space, and I asked if we could, possibly use it as a theatrical space, and we collaborated with the West Harlem Group Assistants, and we used our expertise in theater and renovated the building. And they, contributed the funds to allow that to happen. New seats, new floors, new sound, new acoustics, new staging, new lights, new everything. And voila, we had a space that we could perform in, and that's when the next generation started. And so that's what the Dempsey Theater is. And now it's really servicing the community and helping to supply some of the entertainment needs while in Harlem on the classic corridor, Cheryl, because right outside the door is Sylvia's Restaurant, Red Rooster, Chez Lucienne, Corner Social, Jacobs. So, theater and food sort of goes together.
Right.
And we've all collaborated now together, including with the garage, so that people could park, eat, and have the arts at hand. And so a ticket stub, for example, will get you a 10% discount to the participating restaurants on the classic corridor. So that's the area, which is really the heart of Harlem, central Harlem. And it's very exciting to be part of the rejuvenation and the regeneration of that area. And
so tell me about these two new shows. We Are, which features the Teenage Gospel Choir. Tell me about that show.
I'm so excited about it, Cheryl, because, feeling an obligation to provide platforms for young people to sing. We were featured recently and won 2 Emmy Awards for a broadcast featuring gospel for teens. We were followed for 1 year to find out what was it about this that was working. Why were these young people engaged? And so we wrote this musical that was based on the show that won the Emmy Awards, that was based on our curriculum. And you get a chance to look inside these young people's lives and see the music that touch them and transform them. You can actually see the transformation through the music and the participation in this program. So it's real stories and real people and absolutely unadulterated talent beyond your belief. I can look on that stage, I can't believe she's 14 years old singing like that. So it's really well worth the time. It gives us a sneak view of what's happening inside of young people's minds today.
Now, how about the other show, Alive?
Oh,
Where people
alive and kicking. Well, that's for people who are 55 and over. And whereas the Gospel for Teens, that might be their first opportunity, for 55 and plus, this is their second opportunity. They messed it up the first time. They didn't get it right, or they didn't follow their dream, or they took a turn or a detour, and wherever that detour led them into bad relationships, good relationships, jail, wherever, and now they've got a second chance at it.
Now, where do you find these singers? Where do they come from?
Oh, they come from everywhere. They often find me. I mean, it was through the audition process that I noticed that we were seeing older people come in, people who were tired, really, but could sing. I mean, they're singing as if it was their last breath. So good and so kicking. So I'm excited, really excited. So you're looking at two. We are alive. We are at the beginning of your career and alive. So often.
Now, Alive, does that have a plot, or is it more just a gospel concert?
No, it's stories.
Okay.
No. Again, now you're looking at the baby boomers. What happened to them? What did they do? What was the music they sang? How did it work? So it is a musicale,
Okay.
And it has stories, the same as We Are.
Okay. Now, all of your productions have been joint efforts between you and your husband, Ken Wydrow.
Yes.
Who is white. Did he know anything about gospel music before he met you?
Well, he loved music. When we met, he was a lover of music. You got to really figure this out. At the time we were growing up, the best music and the best musicians existed. You know, and WBLS was a radio station that.
That's true. It
and
was
that-
the best
that-
music.
That was the best
I don't care
music
about
of all-
Generation X,
That's
Y,
right,
millennials.
Z.
We had the best music.
We had
Absolutely.
the best music. So you grew up in the city, grew up with those sounds that came out of that radio station. So yes, he loved gospel. He loved music and he loved gospel music. And then we met as best friends and then began this collaboration.
You do not sing gospel. You do
I
not
have,
sing.
child, you don't
I'm
want to hear me.
stunned.
No, you don't want to hear me. I understand you sing, and I understand you sing well, but you don't want to hear me. But I love it. I love the sounds. I grew up with the sounds. It's in my mind. But I can talk, but I can't sing.
Okay, okay, okay. You were raised between Harlem and the Bronx, and obviously Harlem has changed dramatically over the last, certainly 20 years. How has that affected you and also what you do?
You know, when I see the changes in Harlem, I am reminded of my childhood. You know, when we grew up, there was music everywhere. People sang doo-wop on the corner. They sang in the hallways of the brownstone for the echo effect. And so Harlem was a real neighborhood. As I see Harlem changing now, I'm not resisting or resenting it. Change is inevitable. I mean, it does happen. I want more people to love Harlem in the way that I love it now and then. But I also want to make sure that we stay true to our history and our culture, and that we make our history and our culture and our music and our food and our art available to all people of all colors and all races from all over the world.
Are people still singing on the corner?
We are. We are. Yes, we are. Where I take the kids, we had a summer boot camp this summer. It was so fun. We took the kids outdoors because it was summertime and it was warm. We took them over into the plaza and they started singing, and people began to gather around. We realized the joy of singing, you know, in an outdoor area, and it was really spectacular. We walked them through the park and they're singing all the way through the streets, and that was my reminder of growing up in Harlem.
You're going to be taking Mama, I Want to Sing back to Japan this year.
Yes!
It has had a big life over there, right?
You know what, Sheryl? We introduced gospel to the Japanese audience in 1988, and they have credited us with that introduction. I want you to know that they have gospel schools that have over 700 students in them learning.
Are they singing gospel in Japanese or English?
Both.
Okay, okay. And are they fans of gospel music, even if it's sung in English, even if they don't necessarily speak English? Do they still like the music?
But by all means. And you know what? Many Japanese people do speak English, or they certainly understand it. They take English starting in kindergarten, you know, so their understanding is better than they may be shy about speaking it, but it doesn't mean they don't understand it or feel it.
Right.
That's what's exciting about it.
So when is the show going there? When is
December 1, we will be celebrating our 25th anniversary in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How many performances are you?
We will be there from December 1 to January 6th.
Okay.
And we will be in Tokyo.
Okay. Okay. So we got about a minute left. What's next for you?
Oh, I'm really excited about these things. I want to do television. I want to do more television, and we have some plans for that.
Okay.
And that's exciting to
My
us.
theory is that everybody wants to do television. Really.
Really. You know, you're
In
right.
the heart of hearts, everybody wants to do television.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Well, good luck with your new shows. I
Thank
hope I get a chance to see them.
Oh, I hope you do.
We're out of time. I want to thank Vi Higginsen of the Mama Foundation for the Arts for joining us today. For more information about the organization, you can go to their website at mamafoundation.org. You can call directly for tickets for We Are and Alive and other productions at 212-280-1045 or go to smarttix.com. For the City University of New York and 1 to 1, I'm Sheryl McCarthy. If there are any people you'd like to hear from or topics you'd like us to explore, please let us know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.